Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to talk about my BRAUM seats and how they've held up over the past 3 years and what I still think about them today. Behind me here is my 2011 Stage 3 GTI that I started this channel with. So before we start, I want to thank everybody who subscribed to me this far. We have 600 subscribers now. We are growing this channel and I am so geeked about that. I have tons of plans coming up and I'm going to be putting a lot of money in my Corolla GR. So stay tuned for that. Hit the subscribe button if you want to see what parts I'm going to be throwing on that. But welcome to everybody who's new. Let's go. So the first thing you notice about these seats is how aggressive they are. These are the Elite S seats and they have the same plaid as the Mark 7 GTI, but I feel like I can get away with it because the rear's gutted, so I don't have any other plaid in the car that can throw you off to what this plaid really is. And if I did have the Mark 6 plaid, it wouldn't match at all. So these seats have a synthetic leather and they also have a cloth material. And on the back, you can see that they have like a fake carbon fiber that's actually pretty cool looking. And then I will say that this plastic over here is kind of cheap. This is kind of just like flimsy and this plastic feels cheap as well. One thing to keep in mind is that whenever you take out the old seats, this is the way that the carpet is because this is where the old seats went into. So the bracket looks pretty cool. It's kind of just like a raw look, but if you want to cover this up, you're going to have to put something in there. I bought these seats whenever they first came out, and since then, they now have the Aero Falcon R fixed back and the Elite V2 in plaid, so that gives you a couple more options if you are looking for this plaid. Now, these seats do come with the reclining capability and a sliding adjustment in the front. So here is the slide bar, and you can move these forward and back. They do have a lot of adjustments, and this is the lever so that you can adjust the back. And that's exactly why I bought these seats, because I dailied this car for 3 years, and I wanted something that was comfortable, that could still hold me tight when I'm doing some spirited driving or hitting the track. Now, having these seats for over 3 years, I've noticed that the color in here has faded a little bit, and you can see that there is a decent amount of wear on this leather. I would say that this leather is kind of cheap. You can kind of see it just like peeling apart. This is mainly just from me getting in and out of the car. I know that a lot of cars are going to have normal wear like that, but I think that's a little bit too excessive for it only being 3 years. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about that. The cloth part of these seats has actually held up pretty well, so if I was to get a new set, I would just stay away from this leather and just get like an all cloth material. And just as a side note here, these are really heavily bolstered, so getting in and out, I'm actually surprised that this part here hasn't peeled as much as that, because I feel like getting in and out, I'm moving on this part a lot more than that, but I guess not. Now, I did end up buying this seatbelt pad. I noticed that this faded within a year. You could tell that this side's pretty black from it just sitting around in the sun. I didn't park this car in the garage. I mean, this is like brown. So I would say that if you are going to get these, keep in mind that you might want to just get a new one of these every year. I think they're like 30 bucks or something online. Nothing too crazy, but this is something that I use a lot because it really helps the seatbelt from not cutting into your neck, and it looks pretty cool too. Now, let's get into comfort. These seats are foam injected and they're very stiff when you first get them. I noticed that after about 3 months of daily driving, they finally started to mold to my body. And after they finally start to mold in, let me tell you, these things are really comfortable. And also, everybody that gets in my car for the first time always says how comfortable these seats are without me even saying anything. And I think that right there speaks a lot to how comfortable they are. These large side bolsters keep me planted in my seat when I'm doing spirited driving or driving around on country roads like I love doing. You can really see from this angle how dramatic these are. I mean, they really come up like a solid 4 inches, 3 inches, a little bit of leather up front here. And then these, I mean, that's not really that wide. I don't have a tape measure with me to measure how wide that is. I'm kind of a skinnier guy and this hugs me tight. Another thing to keep in mind is these seats sit insanely low to the ground. And I'm 5'11", so this is my view over the top. I like being slammed like this, but if you like to sit a little bit higher or you are shorter, you're gonna wanna go on the website and look for their spacers. I think they're about 1 inch to 1/4 inch, and you literally just put them right underneath these bolts so it'll lift all this up on each side. You're gonna do this to all 4, and essentially you're gonna end up raising this seat higher. So keep that in mind too. If you have a car that has a low roof, you might not want to do that, but if you do have some good headroom, you'll be able to pull that off. So getting into the install, it's actually pretty easy. So it is, like I said, just these 4 bolts, and the hardest part is going to be to line up this seat belt, because there's a little hole in the bottom of the seat belt that has to go under this bracket. But really, it's not even that bad. You don't have to mess with taking out any of these panels, because the seat belt is going to sit the same way that it would in a factory seat anyway. So no need to mess with that. It's just 4 bolts in and out, and these things are super easy. One thing to keep in mind is that the slider has to be installed, and that was a little bit tricky to get that to line up, but you can do that outside of the car, like in your living room or your garage, before you ever install them. So for comfort level, I would rate these a 9 out of 10. And the reason I didn't give it a 10 out of 10 is just because I feel like they could have angled the base of the seat a little bit back. I think the seat's a little bit flat, and I think it would give me a little bit more comfort on the back of my legs, the back of my thighs. But that's just my personal opinion, and they honestly have a ton of different options on their website. I feel like you could pick a seat that has better comfort anyway, and I feel like they're all going to be a little bit different from each other. So styling, I would rate these an 8 out of 10. And the only reason I do that is because I think they could have made the seat backs a little bit taller so that when you're standing outside of the vehicle, they don't look so short, and you can actually see the BRAUM logo and actually recognize there's a racing seat in the car. And you can kind of see from this angle what I'm talking about. There's a lot of gap here, and I feel like I just want to see a little bit more of the seat. I want it to be raised up so you could just instantly recognize, dude, that looks sick, but I feel like they're just a little bit too low. And this is a shot of what they look like from the back when you do have the hatch open. I think they look pretty sick, especially with the cutouts for the seat belts. So overall, I would rate these seats a 7 out of 10. And that's because the leather has worn and torn a little bit, and the seats have faded after only 3 years of ownership. And I personally feel that's a little bit early for the price that you pay for these seats. So buying these seats 3 years ago, I think they cost somewhere around $800. Don't quote me on that, but keep in mind that you do have to buy the brackets, which is going to be another $400. Now, I don't think these seats are super nice, so I probably would never put them in my Audi TT-RS. But for a car like this, or even my Corolla GR, I probably would put seats like this in those. So my final thoughts on these seats are, I do like them and I don't regret buying them. So I definitely recommend these to anybody who's looking for a racing seat. I do like the fact that you can recline these, you can slide them forward and back, and I think that helps a lot for daily driving. You can also get like a fixed back option and ones that don't slide at all. So you do have a lot of options there. So that's it for today's video. If you guys have any questions about these seats or my cars, make sure to type them in the comments below and I'll answer all your questions. So thanks for watching today's video. If you guys like this video, make sure you smash the like button. Also subscribe for more content like this, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.